أيا طالب العلم قم لا تنم فإن الزمان أيا طالب العلم قم لا تنم فإن الزمان انقضى وانصرم فكن ما حييت ضنينا به فظنك
Okay.
No, I can hear you like
Yeah, Jazakallahu khairan jaza. Jazakallahu khairan jaza. Wa ahsanallahu ilayk. This is a very beautiful presentation. Wallahi, if you begin to talk about Isra wal Mi'raj, the chances are that it is inexhaustive because of its component. Because sometimes mood determines how lengthy or how brief or how in depth you can go and all other factors. What you have did a very comprehensive presentation. Barakallahu fi. So I just want to make a few contributions so that what we've learned, we will entrench the understanding deeper and better at some point. And I only want to do that as in respect to the verses of the Quran, particularly Suratul Israa, the first verse. See, that's Suratul Israa. That first verse in Suratul Israa, that very first verse, if I am to do tafsir of that verse, the exegesis of that verse in the real content of it, both tafsir al-Quran bil-Quran or tafsir al-Quran bil-Hadith, it would take 2 sessions, like 2 tafsir sessions, just one verse. But let me mention something that probably our discussion didn't get to mention because of time and because that was nowhere we were actually going, so that it would be an additional knowledge to us. So Allah started Surah Al-Isra with Subhanallah. That is called Thana'u in the study of Ulum al-Quran, the sciences of the Quran. We call it Thana'u. There are 10 things that Allah started the Quran with. Each chapter of the Quran starts with one of those 10. This one starts with Thana'u. Any chapter of the Quran that starts with Subhanallah, Sabbih isma rabbikal a'la, Sabbah lillah, Alhamdulillah, Tabarakalladhi. All the chapters of the Quran that start with that, they are under Thana'u, praise. So Allah started by praising himself, said, Subhanalladhi, Mimo Ọlọ́run ọba ọba tó ṣe wípé, glory belongs to Allah, the one who Asra bi'amdihi. Now, let's go back to Madrasa. Asra in this context means that Saro means that someone traveled at night. Then Asra here is alawaznu af'ala. And you know alawaznu af'ala is that you make something to happen upon the other thing. That is omushe alawaznu af'ala. So Saro, the thing about Arabic is they have word for everything. Now, there's one between hadora, ata, ja'a. There's one between them, the context. So if we have been expecting, if we invite someone to an event and the person arrived, we use hadora. Now, if someone is not someone we invited, but with someone we have been longing to see, we use ata, ata amurullah, right? That is the same thing with Arabic. That is that with Arabic in most of their were called added night again. Why? Is that not a tautology? Is that not going to be repetition? But you know what that Leyland is doing there? 2 things. One, it's serving a purpose that this is just one night. It clears the doubt of Shojo Kon, Shojo Meji, Shojo Kon. That one, that's one. Number 2, it also tells us that Leyland is a very tiny fraction of the night. It's not even the entire night. Subhanallah. Everything that we said that the Prophet did, the journey, Israa, then Mi'raj. That is both from Baitul Haram to Baitul Maqdis, then from there to to the Sama and to all the places he reached, to the Sidratul Muntaha and everything. It was just a tiny fraction of the night. Now, when this chapter was revealed, that particular verse, a lot of kuffar, mushrikun, then they were just laughing. They made the Prophet a laughing stock. No, before the verse was revealed, when the Prophet was narrating the incidents to them, what he saw, they were just laughing. Because I'll tell you why they are laughing. They seemed justified because it made no sense to them. And this is what happens to us as Muslims. Muslims need to understand. Nowadays, we have a lot of Muslims who are trying to always justify their reasoning and logic with science. See, the moment you are able to get scientific proof for everything, then faith becomes useless. It's something we believe in. We believe in something because we cannot see or we cannot prove it. We cannot prove it in terms of scientific fact. That is why we believe in that. That is why we use faith. Anything that we can prove scientifically, we cannot, it does, then there's nothing to believe in it anymore. Like there's no using faith to believe in it because we can prove it scientifically. You get the point. So they were struggling to understand. The thing is, some Muslims then, some Sahabas were also struggling to understand that journey. That how possible is it? And I'll tell you why in the build-up of that verse. Now, when it happened, but the first person who believed the prophet was Abu Bakr, radiallahu anhu, because he believed that the prophet would never say something like, subhanallah, look at that trust. Where other people were still trying to have, they were not too sure. You know, some were indifferent that the prophet does not lie. But this story is kinder rare. This story is, something we have not heard before. How possible is it? They were indifferent. You know, when people are standing on the fence. But the first person who believed him was Abu Bakr, radiallahu anhu. Now, Allah said, Asra bi abdihi, Ọlọ́run ọba tó mú ẹrú ìrìn àjò òru, laylan láàrin kan lóru, minal masjid al-haram ila al-masjid al-aqsa. Láti bi masjid al-haram lọ sí masjid al-aqsa. Now, ما معنى مسجد الأقصى في هذه الآية? What is the meaning of Masjid al-Aqsa in this context? Now, Masjid al-Aqsa is Baytul Maqdis. Maqdis means in Komima, the sacred home, just like Kaaba. Haram and Maqdis are they are the same meaning. Haram is something that is sacred. Maqdis is something that's sacred from the word Al-Quddus, right? Maqdis. But the reason they call Baytul Maqdis, that is the mosque in Jerusalem, the reason they call it Bayt al-Aqsa, Masjid al-Aqsa, then was because it was the farthest mosque to Haram. Like in the entire world, the mosque that is farthest that you can think of, to Jinju, that's the meaning of Aqsa. Now, if you remember in Makharij al-Huruf, when we talk about Huruf al-Halq, you know, we have Adin al-Halq, Aqsa al-Halq, Wasat al-Halq. Aqsa any or Ibito Jinju, that end. You get the point. You get where we are going now, right? Please, are we together? Can you guys hear me? I want to take out some key messages. That's why I'm reading that verse and I'm explaining some keywords. Please, can you hear me? Am I being heard though?
Naam, Assalamu alaikum.
Yeah, wa alaikum assalam. Okay.
Please.
So let
I
me
think any
let me
other
try to
person should
round
just
up
confirm
because of time. Okay. Okay, someone already did. Now, so Masjid al-Aqsa, I mentioned that Masjid al-Aqsa is called Masjid al-Aqsa because it was the farthest. Jinju. That's the meaning of Aqsa, literal meaning of Aqsa. Ibito Jinju. Now, that place, from that Masjid al-Haram to Masjid al-Aqsa, if anyone is going to take go by road, like using camel or anything, it takes them not less than 4. I don't know. Let me repeat what I just said. It looks like the network was poor. I said for anyone to go from Masjid al-Haram from anyone to walk go that distance through road using camel and donkeys and the likes of them, the person will spend 40 days, not less than 40, minimum of 40 days. So it became problematic to people then when the prophet said he had that journey within a short period of night, within a short period in the night. It became problematic to them that even if one is to take a camel or donkey or anything, it would take them not less than 40 days to go to that place. Like that was how far it was. Unlike now that we can take plane, then that was the only means of transportation. So they were struggling to understand that is how far it was, Jerusalem was. Now, Allah now said, Barakina hawla'u. Ibi tó Jerusalem tó já sí pé Barakina hawla'u àti bless àwọn agbègbè ẹ̀ How need the environment, the surrounding, that Allah has blessed the surrounding. Now, what is that meaning? What is the meaning of that barakna hawlahu? Two things. The first meaning is that Jerusalem is a vegetative land, is good for agriculture. So the scholars explain that is one of the reasons. That is one of the Allah said barakna hawlahu, that we have blessed that surrounding. So every places that surround Jerusalem, and Jerusalem itself has a potential for vegetation, plantation, and any form of plantation or vegetative activity. Then scholars again said this. The reason, however, the other reason is that why Allah said barakna hawlahu is that barakna hawlahu means that we have blessed the surroundings of Jerusalem. Why? Because many prophets lived there, or at least did something around. And if you begin to look at it, many prophets actually spent their time there. Prophet Ibrahim was there at the point in time. In fact, Prophet Musa was trying to get his people, Israelites, down to Jerusalem. But because of what they did, they had issue, and 40 years they were struggling to get there. Then Prophet Yusha was one who took them there. So Prophet Zachariah was there, Prophet Yahya was there, name it. Like a number of Prophet Yaqub was there, a number of prophets. Jesus himself was there. So that is why Allah said, Barakina hawla with ibẹ̀ ni wọ́n jẹ́ sí nígbà tí wọ́n wà láyé. Nítorí ẹ̀ la ṣe pè bẹ̀ ní àyè àlùbáríkà. Àyè táwọn Ọlọ́run ti fa àlùbáríkà sí. Because many prophets lived. The Prophet Daud, Prophet Sulaiman, they used that environment. They used Jerusalem environment. Sabah, they used that environment. You see, that verse itself is, if not because of time, if we begin to dissect it, you will understand that there's a lot, and we really need to always sit down every day and just be thankful. If I read hadith on the need for us to do more of subhanallah, you will be amazed at how much of blessings that we just get just by being Muslim and reciting subhanallah, bihamdi, subhanallah azim, and other siga of subhanallah, right? So that is the barakna hawlahu. Then Allah said, we did that linuriya hu min ayatina, láti lè fi rí, láti lè jẹ́ kó rí nínú àwọn àmì wa, to show him from amongst our signs. Innahu huwa sami'un basir, right? See, that verse, I just summarized it, but there's a lot I want us to think about because at this level we need to take Tafseer to the deeper level of it, and not just stay at the literal context. But I understand we are binded by time, so we cannot do something. So I want to encourage us to go and read more about that first verse. I would have gone to Suratul Najm itself, because there's a lot of narrations there and explanations as well. But the discussant already referenced most of the verses that we need to also touch. I just needed to add this part. So when you say Aqsa, you know what it means, that the farthest place. Aqsa is filled with tafdil, ibito jinju, that is one thing I want us to add to what we have learned today. And the reason why Allah said barakna hawlahu is Jerusalem being a vegetative environment. All the environment surrounding it is also vegetative, and also because there were a lot of prophets who have used that place at a point in time in the course of their prophethood. I think I'll have to pause because of time. It's late already. Jazakumullah khairan. If there are questions or anything, you can always bring them up, inshallah.